and I would like to introduce to you Swetha Revanur. She is an 8th grade student from Quimby Oak Middle School, and that is in the Evergreen Elementary School District.
Hi, everybody. Cigarette smoke hung in the air where Brian Lee Curtis lay, dying of lung cancer. Since he was 13, he had smoked 2 packs of cigarettes every day. Little did he know that 20 years later, these slow killers would take his life. His head bald from chemotherapy, the bones in his cheeks and shoulders protruding under pale and taut skin. His eyes open, but unable to respond. For 20 years, Brian saw everybody smoke. His family, his friends, and even the movie stars he worshipped. Influenced by these sights, he started smoking himself. As a father, he caught his 9-year-old daughter in the act. When he died, just 9 weeks after the prognosis of his death, his wife and his mother were still smoking, promising themselves that they would quit soon enough. But that's not even the sad part. On his funeral day, relatives came and saw the devastating effects that the cancer had on him. But addiction is and always will be more powerful. They backed away, pulled out packs of cigarettes, and lit up. Good morning, everybody. My name is Swetha Revanur, and I'm an 8th grader and K-Kids member at Quimby Oak Middle School. And this is Smith Jane, a 10th grader from Evergreen Valley High School. Thank you. We're here from the Breathe California organization as clean air and healthy lungs advocates. Our mission to fight all forms of lung disease and work with our community to protect and promote lung health. As in Brian's case, more than 1,000 adolescents will start smoking today because of what they see on the film screens. So, join us in giving all movies containing tobacco imagery an R rating. But really, what's so bad about smoking? Well, in the short term, it can cause things like unwanted odors, smelly teeth, stained nails and teeth, shortness of breath, coughing, and addiction. But in the long run, more serious things will occur. These include stroke, COPD, various cancers, emphysema, and what the main killer is, addiction. And I have a special jar to show you all. We at Breathe California call it Clem's phlegm. And this is how much phlegm a COPD patient coughs up in a year, you think? No. A month? Nope. 2 weeks. So I'll pass this around for any breaks.
Al, you can keep that for the Polish auction.
All of these terrible side effects are caused by the whopping 4,000 chemicals in cigarette smoke, 40 of which are known to cause cancer. And you might have heard of some of these. They're found in rat poison: formaldehyde, arsenic, ammonia, tar, etc. There are several types of smokes released by a cigarette: first-hand smoke, second-hand smoke, and side-stream smoke. But second-hand smoke and side-stream smoke not only affect the smoker, but bystanders as well. And they are proven to be, as side-stream smoke says here, almost 20 times as dangerous as first-hand smoke. And to make things worse, they can affect children and adults alike. So, why should others have to suffer because of the smoker's bad decision? Well, every year, about 435,000 deaths occur from just tobacco. And of these, 53,800 deaths are from secondhand smoke exposure. Secondhand smoke, that's more than 15%, or it's about 15%. And everybody knows that this generation's youth are very impressionable. And tobacco companies are taking advantage of that. And we have Smith here to tell you more. Thank you.
Hello. I'm Smith Jane, and I'm a brief California volunteer. I'm a brief California volunteer. I'm also a sophomore at Evergreen Valley, and it's good to meet you all. Now, let's move to tobacco and advertising. So, you've heard us talk about the background information on why tobacco is bad. But you might be wondering, what does this have to do with the new proposition we're making to make all movies that have tobacco scenes, smoking scenes in them R-rated? Well, it turns out that tobacco is a very lucrative product. It's really profitable. Tobacco companies make about billions of dollars per year selling it to customers. Now, like every company, they have an advertising promotions division. This advertising and promotions division, they spend a lot of money trying to make sure that their smokers stay hooked and that they can get new smokers. Now, how much do you think they spend? Anybody? 10 million? 20 million? 50 million? Billion? It's actually $12.5 billion per year. $12.5 billion per year goes into promoting and advertising for tobacco. Now, where do you think that money goes? Well, there's two groups of advertising, which I'll call visual advertising and invisible advertising. Visual advertising is the type of advertising you see every day. It's the kind of advertising that you know is advertising. It's billboards, internet ads, countertop displays. If any of you have been to, I think it's called, I forget the name. In fact, I'll go with Walgreens. If any of you have been to Walgreens and walk past the counter, you notice that they have a huge tobacco rack, right? It's tantamount to advertising. They also have customer referrals. People telling you, go buy tobacco, go use tobacco. But the only type of advertising that doesn't exactly seem like advertising, that they spend money in anyway, is invisible advertising. Or advertising where they have endorsements or it's shown to be good and it's not exact. They don't exactly say buy tobacco, but that's a message they convey. So the biggest example of this nefarious type of advertising is movies, because movies have smoking scenes. While they're not said to be, or they did not come out as buy your tobacco, they still influence you to buy their tobacco. So advertising movies. How does it work and why do it? Well, if any of you guys remember the tobacco scandal in the 60s or 70s, tobacco became a stigma and the government started to take action against tobacco use. Now, in the 60s and 70s, TV advertising with tobacco was banned. So you couldn't do anywhere the 5 or 10 minute long ads that they used to run on TV. They also banned radio advertising. So, because you might think that if they are cutting off two major sources of tobacco advertising, their advertising money will drop. But here's the fun part. It doesn't drop. It increases over time. Although they've cut out on two of the biggest expenses that companies have in advertising, their advertising money keeps on increasing. So where is this money going? And who's the target of whatever advertising is spending this on? Movies. Movies are the only new form of advertising that we've seen pop up in tobacco use. Now, movies influence tobacco use. Why use movies? Why are movies a powerful way to promote tobacco use? Well, movies show what's kind of like the norm for the time. If any of you seen Jaws or any other sort of movie like that, you'll notice what they wear and what they eat. Although not a major part of the movie, kind of shows what's normal, what's acceptable at that time. So movies are a way for tobacco companies to get over their stigma and to get reintroduced to society. If there's smoking scenes in movies, it kind of says, hey, smoking is normal, smoking is accepted, smoking is something we should do. So there's that for the tobacco companies. Movies also reach every corner of the globe. If you've heard about hit movies like Avatar, you know that they get circulated in all kinds of countries like China, Singapore, Taiwan, the US, Mexico, you name it, it goes there. So if they spend money to get a smoking scene into a movie, it's their free ticket to being able to broadcast it to the entire globe. It's universal advertising at one low price. Now, the last thing that's running for them is that they don't get much scrutiny in terms of public health. It's kind of a subtle form of advertising, and it doesn't go and right out say, buy our product, so they can get away with it. So what kind of pops up now is who's being influenced, and why are we urging that you make youth movies with smoking scenes in them R-rated? Well, who do you see in the movies? Do you go to movies? Anybody go to movies? Who do you see at the movies? Do you see grandparents? A lot of grandparents? Do you see a lot of middle-aged people? Kids, yeah. Most of the people who go there are either going to be teenagers to infants. It's going to be youth. And so a study that was a bit suspicious about that covered over 1,769 films over the last 18 years and found that less than 50% of the youth movies, just the youth movies, were smoke-free. The study was alarmed. This wasn't looking too good. It's illegal for youth to smoke, yet most of the money that the smoking companies are putting in, a large chunk of that $12.5 billion is going into youth movies. So they established that PG-13 films delivered at 65% of tobacco impressions. Yes, 65% of the money that they're putting into tobacco advertising for movies goes to targeting youth. 65%, which means that it's more than the majority. They obviously want youth more than they want adults. Yes, 65%. So why youth? Well, research, a couple of studies actually, have shown that there's a causal relationship between exposure to movie smoking depictions and youth smoking initiation. So basically, the more smoking scenes you see, the more likely they're to stick in your head, and then when you get peer pressure, or when you see a cigarette cap, the more likely you are to buy. Obviously, youth mean more money for the tobacco companies. If an adult gets on tobacco, and if you're about 50 years old, you can buy tobacco products for maybe 30, 40, 50 years. But if a youth gets on tobacco use, then they can buy it for the entire year, and it leads to a vicious cycle. The more youth get involved and start buying tobacco, the more money goes to tobacco companies, the more money tobacco companies have to spend to get more youth. So why is it so, I suppose the word I'm looking for is, why is it so profound for tobacco companies to use this? What makes this possible? Well, what it boils down to are celebrities and film stars. Celebrities and film stars make a ton of money. Everybody's heard the Kardashians or other of those pop star people like Lady Gaga know that they have paychecks in the 7 digits. They are, I suppose, a stratum of our socially elite people. So when they have smoking scenes, or when they smoke, it tells people that smoking is good, smoking is glamorous. They know that there's no chance that they're going to get over the stigma that smoking has had on the older generations. So you try to convince the younger generations that smoking is in. Smoking is something you need to do. Smoking is something normal for people. So I guess what you might be wondering now is, why does this all matter? Well, I'll leave it to Swetha or Revanur to tell you now.
Hi again, everybody. Why should any of this matter to you? Well, within 6 chosen months in 2010, more than 80% of all moviegoers were young adults. And tobacco companies are advertising in popular PG and PG-13 movies. And since they have started doing this, the teen smoking rate has gone up. And kids idolize actors so much. So when leading actors are in 82% of tobacco exposure movies, then they will be influenced. And out of the 2,500 teens that start smoking in the US today, more than 1,000 will start because of those leading actors. And 340 of those innocent lives will be cut drastically short because of that one bad choice. And did you know that this youth crowd that we've been mentioning might include your own son or daughter or grandson or granddaughter? And I hope not, but maybe even my own friends. So, as you can see, there's nothing positive that comes from smoking. So, help us save the 3,500 teen smokers from smoking-related diseases and early deaths. Our proposition? Sign on to this colossal effort to make tobacco exposure films rated R. With your help, we can make a giant step in ending teen smoking. Thank you for listening, and remember, don't smoke. Any feedback of where else we could share this presentation or any feedback you had on our presentation will be much appreciated. Thank you.
So, any questions?
If you know a young person who is starting to smoke, what do you, as peers of that person, perhaps recommend to try to dissuade the person from continuing to smoke?
So, what I recommend to do is to probably sign on or go visit someone who is experienced with getting people off an addiction. What I have noticed personally is that Evergreen Valley High is a large school. There's 2,000 students now, and there are people who smoke. And I've noticed that when people do get into bad habits as a high schooler, or really anytime before college, it's because of who they hang out with. And the first step might be to, other than combat the addiction, is to make sure you're not in a crowd that's forcing you to smoke. Peer pressure plays a large role in this, and nobody wants to be alone.
I quit smoking a long time ago, and I smoked in school, grade school too, as a matter of fact, at the time. And now I didn't have any peer pressure, but it seemed like it was a big thing to do when you got involved in it. And I big man on the campus, so to speak. Is that the effect that's happening now in these schools around? People feel like the big shot on campus if they have a smoking a cigarette?
Yes.
So what's kind of happening is you had the whole stigma thing. This whole stigma issue when it broke down tobacco companies were selling what was addictive poison, in essence. So yeah, that's what's happening.
I just got on the case of a young man, grandson, and I just found out he smoked, and I chewed him out the other day. When I said, "What? You're smoking it, man? Your intelligence, with your intelligence, and just going to college right now, and all of the information that's out there, you're smoking." Well, grandson, I'm quitting. At the end of the year, I'm quitting.
So what happens is that a lot of it's not conscious decisions, and that's what we kind of need to prevent. You go to a movie, you see a smoking scene. And they're everywhere. I mean, like, if you see 101 Dalmatians, the main villain smokes. And
what I'm seeing right here, first of all, I want to compliment both of you for putting this presentation on and for you just sitting in the background, because I think it makes a great impression that the youth is doing this. The sad part maybe for this is, we got a bunch of old people here who stopped smoking, who realize that it's the youth that you need to be targeting, and you said you were in children's club?
Yeah, K-Kids.
K-Kids. Those are the kids that these programs, so maybe come to like our district council meetings for our key clubs, maybe these presentations at K-Kids, at Builders Club, Circle K, places like that, where you're actually targeting the youth so they understand it's time to stop before they get started.
Yeah, they're being exploited.
I wonder how many parents in these households, these kids start smoking, the parents are smoking, one of the parents are smoking.
well, it's been shown that parents are a large effect on their
Can you put that mic up a little bit if you can hear me?
Sure.
There.
I'm just not quite used to it like
You have a very soft voice.
Sure. I do know that if your parents smoke, you can be more likely to smoke. I didn't know how it fits in with the movie advertising they're doing, but I'll look into it. I believe there's probably stats on that. That was a good question.
You mentioned in your presentation that making movies are that have smoking in them, where they're trying to influence the audience. Is there a proposition? Is there something that's going on right now to attempt to accomplish that? What's the action?
Yes, there's a resolution that's going on that's trying to make movies, or at least youth movies, with smoking in rated R.
Who's pushing the
We will
resolution?
sign it. I have one. I'll make it available to Doug. And we hope that Kiwanis will sign it.
Can we go online to one of those sites and
Yes.
sign it? I mean, is that an action item we can leave here today with?
Gosh.
Action on it, action on it.
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
Is that where you go up there? Is that? was
This
that
is,
right?
these is mainly where we got our information.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Oh.
We have some handouts that are coming around, and I'm not sure exactly what, Janet will tell us about them.
So here is our agency brochure. It doesn't specifically talk about the resolution, but I can send that. And as an organization, you have a lot of clout. And what we will do is send it on to the Motion Picture Association, along with some personal letters that students are writing to bring this more forward and get the movie houses to sign on. Disney has already changed their movies, especially for G and PG, and are not showing smoking scenes anymore. So they're wonderfully on board, and we hope that the other movie houses will do so as well.
Seems like a financial problem, though, if tobacco companies are paying the movie companies to put the smoking scene in, that's where it should stop right there. Instead of trying to change the rating of the movie, because the movie company's trying to get the youth into the movie. If they change it to an R, they're not gonna get them into the movie, because they're gonna lose money, so.
I think it's a backdoor way to come in, because we have found out after years and years of fighting the tobacco industry, it can be a losing battle.
Sure.
The scariest thing is probably that in California, I believe in California and a couple of other states, what happens is that the government itself subsidizes movies. So the person that's going to be paying for this is not only the tobacco company, but it's also the government, and that can be done for movies with smoking scenes in them. So you literally have two government departments, the tobacco prevention department and the subsidizing department, arrayed against each other. I think it was on one of those sites up there.
Yeah, Bev,
Yes, unless I misread it or misheard it, you said that the secondhand smoke in the third group are 20 times more
Yeah,
dangerous than the first, and how
Yeah.
is that possible?
Because it's actually, people don't notice it, so they get exposed to it more. Like when someone's smoking, the smoker clearly sees the smoke coming out of the cigarette. But when it's third-hand smoke is basically residual material left behind from a cigarette. So it can go on furniture. And how many times does a person sit on a couch a day? At least maybe 5 to 10 times. So they're constantly exposed to it.
Even though it's not as strong.
It's not as strong, but it stays. So it's long-lasting, and it's in many places.
Thank you.
I have a comment about that. A study was done in an apartment building where a smoking family moved out. The apartment carpets were clean, the walls were washed, the whole thing was clean. And a new family moved in with a toddler who crawled around and put things in the mouth. And they tested the blood of that child whose parents didn't smoke, and the child's blood had nicotine, detectable nicotine in the blood.
Barry had a question.
Yeah, you know, I think it would be good for you to put pictures, like, I'm trying to think of movies that I've seen where people are smoking, and I can't visualize any, so maybe it's too subtle for me to see, but I think if you put pictures up there of leading actors smoking, you know, we could identify with it, you know, make more of an impression on us.
Well, particularly the ones that died.
Yeah, the ones.
Marilyn Monroe. Marilyn Monroe.
No, I mean current.
Oh, current.
See, I watched the Avatar and I can't recall where they were smoking.
There was a sign.
It was the scientist, that really tall actress, what's her name?
Sigourney Weaver?
Yes, yes, she lit up.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
But that's interesting, you know, like, how many remember Humphrey Bogart in the movies? And I cannot remember a scene where Humphrey Bogart didn't have a cigarette. But everybody smoked. Yeah, by the way, the tobacco companies have a very clever way of doing things. For example, in Africa, many people are so poor they cannot buy a pack of cigarettes. So they sell them one cigarette at a time. That gets people buying one cigarette, and then they get the habit, and then everything follows from that. Also, the advertising in Africa, unlike here, is billboards will picture people in cap and gown, like they've graduated from college or high school, and so it's very sophisticated, very, you know, you get your education, you smoke, you know? And so, you know, it's really quite an interesting thing psychologically that they can.
I think the cigarette companies pay the movie producers to show their cigarettes.
Yeah.
All
Yeah.
their line strike back up or
Yeah, the
whatever.
placement fees.
They're getting a fee for that.
Do the actors and actresses have anything to say about wanting, or do they benefit from being in a smoking scene?
There was actually one actress, I do not recall her name, but she's a current actress, and she actually said that she does not like smoking in scenes, but if she knows it's going to be a major picture, then she can't help it. She has to do it. She said there's no option.
One thing I've noticed is that many actors and actresses do not inhale. Now, in the old days, you see them smoking, like Humphrey Bogart smoking. He actually, with his smoke, he inhaled.
Like Bill Clinton.
And, right.
That's
a
different topic.
And now many watch them on the screen. The script calls for them to smoke, but they don't like to inhale, so they just puff at it. They don't want to get hooked again.
They say Obama smokes, right?
Yeah.
Outstanding programs. Even the PowerPoint and everything, you kids did a great job. Just absolutely great.
Yeah, just great job, Mike. Congratulations. I don't know about addiction, but I know smoking is a terrible habit. Two dates I remember. One's December 7th, 1941. For the younger people, that's Pearl Harbor Day. The other one's December 14th, 1984, and I rode to the hospital in an ambulance with a cardiac event. And saying to myself, as I looked at the ceiling of the ambulance, because I knew about smoking from my workers' compensation work, looking at the top of the ambulance and saying, "Newman, you dumb shit. Newman, you dumb shit." I wasn't afraid of dying. That's the only thing I could think of. I knew better, and yet I didn't quit. It is a habit because I was released to work in increments, and it was 5 months before I could see clients. And I had no trouble working in the office. I got to see clients. All of a sudden, I caught my right hand going to my left vest pocket where I kept my cigarette. I had no yearning for a cigarette, didn't want any at all. But you get in that situation, used to smoking, and the reaction occurred. And finally, I do say, it's good to be an advocate, but you want to be nice to smokers. I'm a reformed smoker. I'm very nice to smokers. I don't give them any problem. I don't get on the case. And the reason I do that is because they won't be with us long. And again, thank you for your program. You have one more task to do. Doug, if you want to
we
lead
have a
it.
little drawing of a ticket here for the raffle this morning. Amy sold it.
We're looking for 307.
Yeah. We'll do that. Oh, you got the
307 right there.
All right, the last three digits. Thank you. The last three digits are 311.
No.
Hey! 311. Who got Larry? Oh, Larry.